Welcome back. In this section, we'll just make some brief remarks on inverse functions that could be potentially very helpful for these questions on the CLEP exam. So we want to first remark that not every function has an inverse. Okay? We will, in the next section, discuss exactly how to show this with something called the horizontal line test, which, of course, sounds a lot like the vertical line test, and it is. Another point, which is more notational, is simply that the inverse function of f is not the same as 1 over f. Right? That is certainly tempting, but is not true. That is, inverse functions are not the same as the reciprocal of functions, right? So note, just as an example, if f of x equals x squared, then f inverse of x is the square root of x, but f of x to the minus 1 is 1 over f of x, which is 1 over x squared. So they are quite different, and this is something you should keep in mind. Another nice thing about inverse functions that's quite easy to test is how the domain and range interact. They actually switch when you look at inverse functions. So if f has some domain, its inverse function will have that as a range. And if f has some range, that's the domain of the inverse function. So the domain and ranges switch here. And the picture is quite nice, I think. Of course, this is what the domain and range are. It's the set of inputs for f, and the range is the set of outputs. Now, f inverse is trying to undo f. So it's going to act the opposite way. It's going to take the range as inputs and return you to the domain. So essentially, whatever the domain of f is, that's the range of f inverse. And whatever the range of f is, that's the domain of f inverse. So a very nice thing to keep in mind as you prepare for studying for inverse functions on the CLEP.